Obviously, my focus is on the Marseille deck. The majority of the background of tarot teaching that you're going to find in my guides, in my videos, is going to be based on Marseille-style thinking about tarot. But there are lots of Smith-Waite style decks that I think are very cleverly made, that involve a lot of interesting art and choices, and that are just beautiful. I'm going to highlight one that I think is just great for common use. It comes in a printing that is small enough to keep with you pretty much all the time. Thoughtfully created box, so everything fits in it at once. The book is pretty simplistic. You're not going to find much in there that you wouldn't find in any generic tarot site online. But when we look at the cards, we see that there are some really thoughtful visual choices going into reducing the Smith-Waite designs to these much simpler figures that are a lot easier to take in and easier to print on these smaller cards. The main thing that I appreciate is that we've taken a lot of the details out, simplified the image so that there aren't quite as many tiny distinct symbols that we're then challenged to ask ourselves, well, did Pamela Coleman Smith draw it like this because it looked good and provided interesting artistic contrast for her? Or did she draw it like this because all of these details have an intrinsic meaning that she wanted to pack into the card? There's no way for us to know with Smith's drawings because she did not write the guide to the deck. Instead, Waite said, design the minor cards, and she actually went into a lot of deep research regarding other historical decks and then combined a lot of that into her own deck. And from what I can see, she was mostly studying the art. So she did this incredible artistic montage of what she saw in the old cards, combining them into character art that to her reflected the meanings. This deck strips away a lot of the finer points in Smith's designs and essentializes them into something that then has a lot more interpretations. There are a lot more possibilities of meaning that one could get out in this deck than there are in Pamela Coleman Smith's illustrations. So that's why I like this one so much. It remains very much true to Smith's basic design and the general feel that she was trying to encapsulate in her drawings. And yet, the ways that the heads are tilted, the lack of expression on the face, just those omissions alone and changes alone make a big difference in how flexible our interpretations can be and our ideas about what these characters may be experiencing or feeling as they are depicted. So, for instance, in this Four of Coins, she is looking downward, sort of past the platform that she is sitting on, instead of being hunkered down on top of the central coin in her hands and staring directly out at you. So there is some questioning going on here. Also, this coin that's on top of her head implies that there may be some weight, a burden upon her that is causing her to stretch or compress her neck, that is changing her circumstances because she is a little bit trapped as she is depicted. Or it may just say that it's something she can rely on, something other people know her for, something that's always on her mind. So just in one card here, pretty much a clear interpretation of Smith's classic image, but more subtlety to think about. The fact that she is here between two cities, again, could mean a lot about where she is positioned and how to think about the card in a given spread, considering a wide number of questions that a person might ask. The 6 here has more differentiation between the characters on the bottom, who are clearly looking to get something from the central character, and the lack of naturalism. The fact that we have the figure in the center, perfectly centered, pretty symmetrical on each side of her body, but her hands are not symmetrical, as opposed to the symmetry we have down here between this dark and light figure, who both seem to be asking for something. These design features make it so that comparing the cards becomes more interesting, as we can think about those lines of symmetry, directions that people are looking. They are much more squared than what you see in Smith's drawings. And so the cards encourage you a little bit more, just with those design details, to compare them and think about their contrast as you are working through a spread. The court cards, to me in this deck, reflect more of the qualities that you might find in older statuary or depictions of Greek, Roman, other near Middle Eastern gods. Though they are not combined with animals, they are covered by emblems that tend to indicate pretty specific deities from those pantheons. This one reminds me real directly of Dionysus. The grapes all around him, the grapes on his staff, the wreath of grape leaves around his head, his easy position, looking off to one side as if concerned about what his followers are doing, or perhaps interested in joining in. That's a lot of what this card reflects to me, and bringing that energy into the court cards at least gives us a clear foundation for understanding what did this deck designer want to remind us of when we look at the court cards, and where can we go with the symbolism and imagery that the deck offers us. It's a common enough pantheon. Greek and Roman religion and concepts were spread all through the civilized world as they colonized, conquered, traded. It's not a difficult thing for most people to get into the mindset of, and certainly not very hard for us to research, well, what do these particular symbols mean in this real simple context? Where can I go from there? In the suit of wands, again, a reduction here on the 5, instead of characters all kind of brandishing their staffs at one another or just in the air. We've got a design that looks an awful lot more like the Marseille card than the Smith card, but still a clear parallel in meanings, that there are a lot of directions of energy moving at the same time. It is difficult to determine everybody's intentions while they are still in motion, and kind of indicating more with their tool, their energy, rather than their person. They may not even know themselves where this energy is going to go once it mixes with everybody else's. In the 7, a fairly different scenario than what you see on the 7 in the Smith deck. Instead of this character being in the center at the back, defending herself from you, the viewer, as these staffs move at her, she is standing along the side in what appears to be a much more defensible position, and her staff is different from all the ones that are coming toward her. The flame indicates her ardor, her passion, her insistence that she defend this point, no matter what. Though hers does not have leaves on it, like these do, which offers us another contrast in thinking about, well, what's the ultimate potential of these positions? How long can this woman really hold there, and what is her purpose in doing so? And the knight here reminds me a lot of the aspects of Ares that you will see in a lot of Greek mythology. The spear, the flames, the horse that is just ready to go. Very reminiscent of male war gods from the ancient Near East. And again, I like that that spear is almost dead center, cutting the card in half between this character, perhaps a raised shield or a sun in the air, indicating how much time he really has to do what he's got to do, and the fact that the front of the horse is going to keep going and carrying him along, no matter what he thinks about the future consequences of where he ends up. The Five of Swords reduces the number of figures on the card, and also we have women here. So I like that in many of these cards, there is a transformation from male to female figures, masculine to feminine, or vice versa. And the head coverings offer us, or hairstyles, give this secondary concept of line and flow to the card. To have both of these women here, one with a cloth that drapes down across herself, the other with this short bob-like haircut that makes her seem more active, more agile. There's a contrast here between priorities and what these characters were prepared for before the encounter that led to this moment. Or it may indicate that this character in the front is going off to do something, and this character is not pleased that she has taken this initiative and is going to complete her purpose. More subtlety, more possibilities, a richer field of meaning because the images are simpler. The Seven of Swords offers us some parallels with the Ten of Staffs or Wands, in that we've got the character who seems overwhelmed by what they're carrying. Again, similar to the way that it appears in Smith's drawing, but this is a castle rather than a camp. We can't see if this character is pleased or worried or what concerns they are holding as they move away with what they have stolen, with work that they are performing late, with swords that maybe are just in the wrong place. Maybe this character is correcting something that they did wrong in the first place. And this Queen of Swords reminds me a lot of Hera in the way that she is often depicted in Greek and Roman art. She is stately, she is strong, her hair is up and restrained, so we can see her elegance and beauty. The blade, as well as the shoulder and hand, form a cup-like image here, so it's not as if she is without emotion. She is seated on a cup-like shape. So there's a mixture here of defending boundaries, of being powerful and more than willing to display that power, but also an emotional sensibility that forms the foundation for what she will do and why. So it's a little gentler than a lot of the Queens of Swords that we see in tarot decks. And I'll also show the five from the Suit of Cups. Again, more questions about this character's emotional interests in this situation, their relationship to the city in the background, whether they're going to take this bridge or not. Almost exactly like the Smith drawing, but the consistency of the background, the simplicity of the figures in the image give us more directions from which to think about them. The fact that this character is standing straight up rather than hunched over, again, gives us a few more ways to think of what this character is feeling. The Nine of Cups. The character with his arms crossed here seems maybe a little more self-satisfied. We're not really sure how interested this character is in sharing what they've got. Whereas in Smith's Nine of Cups, there seems to be a little bit more of an invitation going on between the character in the image and the viewer. But with this guy, I'm not really sure what one would have to do to get invited to his party. Has the party already been going on and he heard something that has spoiled the moment for him? Does he have some ulterior motive in spreading these cups out and inviting people here? Is there some kind of game that he is playing with everyone else that he has invited them to unawares? And the Page of Cups presents a symbol that we see repeated throughout the deck. This sort of sunburst. It's in a lot of different cards, which offers us another way to provide a parallel in symbolism. That when we see these bursts coming up, whether they are completely whole in the card and presented as distinct, or more part of a print here where they are broken up into sides and slivers, this gives us another small detail to zoom in on and think about how it presents parallels and conversation between the cards. So in limiting the number of symbols in the deck, we actually create an opportunity for more conversation as we see those symbols in multiple cards in a given spread, and we have this chance to draw visual parallels between what they may mean for the person that we're reading for. And we see this again in the majors, or trumps, if you will. The crescent moon, for instance. This high priestess, again, is centered. She goes all the way to the top of the card. I like that her hand seems to sort of come out of nowhere to hold this crystal ball, that she is in light and darkness. The ball is in front of her hair and her face is turned away from it. A lot of contrast and texture just in this one simple image. Then we see that crescent again here on the chariot, on the charioteer's shoulders. And this charioteer is looking off to the side rather than straight forward. The canopy on the card doesn't quite go all the way to the top, and we've got these different terrains in the background all the way up to this final strip here, causing us to ask where this character has been or is going. What kind of journey are they actually prepared for? I also kind of like that you really don't see the wheels almost at all in this image. It's hard to tell if this is the top of what may be on the Sphinx's head, or it is actually part of the chariot. And then in the moon card, the moon itself appears as this larger crescent that is within a burst of light. Our canine characters are a little bit closer. I mean, this could very well be an interpretation of the Marseille moon as much as the Waite-Smith moon, as similar as they are. But this contains all of the major symbols that you're going to see in either of those cards, still encapsulating the full interpretation of what one can get out of them. And in addition to the card designs, the back is clearly reversible, so if you do read reversals, this is an easy deck to do it with. And again, because you have such simple images, a reversal gives you a little bit more to read in the sense that there is this more direct sense of what is up, what is down, any motion that the lines might imply. As here, the path shows a clear line from our lobster to this shining ray here that goes right between the wolves. And in a way, the moon is kind of inside this container between the two towers. There are many interesting things to talk about just by inverting these cards. Or for instance here, this character now has almost more of a hanged man aspect, but all of these cups are in some ways turned against him, hiding something opposed to his crown, or even a larger version of the crown that could imply other things. So the simplicity of visual design, as I keep saying, is the big thing I appreciate in this deck. And while it restricts the number of things on each card that you're going to see, it opens up interpretive details that you can get as you're laying these cards next to each other. The purple, white, and gold color scheme is very easy on the eye. You can look at these cards all day without feeling like your eyes are getting fried. And asking other people questions about these cards will reveal some interesting answers that you probably didn't think of as they are considering the ways that the lines move together, what those characters may be thinking or feeling, and they are filling that in with their own intuition, their own energy. So I hope you will check out the Everyday Tarot. If a Waite-Smith deck, especially one that you can easily carry around, is something that you're hoping to have and work with consistently, this is a great deck to do it with. Thank you very much for listening. If you are looking for more personal spiritual guidance, tarot readings for any question or concern that may have been bothering you, or a sense of how to set up the next 6 months of a year of your life for success and the right things to watch out for, I'm more than happy to offer my services. Check me out at newelltarot.com and schedule an appointment. Have a great day and take care.